Well, let me ask you this regarding logical reasoning. What does your question review process look like?
Yeah, and that was another part. That was going to be the next part of my question. I'm going back through a blind review, taking those questions that I did get incorrect, turning back around, reviewing those stimuli, uh, and really trying to think about where I made the misstep. And usually, I'm doing much better on a blind review with no time constraint. I'm seeing the same thing over at reading comprehension as well. So time constraint, I'm thinking, is a bit of a factor in there. You know, the stress that happens when you see the ticker ticking down. But there is definitely a hole uh, in that process. So I'm looking for the best advice you can give me on blind review, on understanding those questions, and how best to take that next step.
Sure. Well, I'm actually going to take it in a little bit of a different direction and share with you another review strategy that I've developed called the Socratic review method.
Okay.
And this really involves, and I have much more on this on the YouTube channel you can search, but basically the idea is that we're continually asking questions to get to the root of where your misunderstanding stemmed from. In logical reasoning, for example, you would ask, what about the stimulus gave you trouble? Was it that the conclusion was buried in the middle? Was it that there were annoying indicator words like unless, except, until, without? Were there no indicator words at all? Did you have to take contrapositives and link things together? Was the topic difficult? It could be any variety of things, but you got to figure out what about the stimulus gave you trouble, because it really does, a lot of it at least, starts there. If you don't understand the argument, looking at the choices won't help you further. They'll only further confuse you.
Right.
With the question stem, there may be things like unfamiliar wording, but assuming that you've got a good sense of what the question type is, we have to look at the stimulus in depth as well as the answer choices in depth. And for the answer choices, you got to see what was tempting about the wrong answer that made you pick it and made it seem appealing, and what ultimately made it wrong. And what was discouraging about the right answer that pushed you away from it, and what ultimately makes it correct. So you have these traps of discouragement away from the right answer and traps of encouragement towards the wrong answer.
Right.
And so that's the kind of analysis that you've got to do. And blind review, a lot of that is timed versus untimed, but regardless, a deep understanding is going to be important. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.